Korean service, yesterday. And of course, we, our brothers and sisters in America, Korea, you name it, worldwide. Of course, there's a lot of talk about, wine and blessing ceremony, etc. that's coming up. You have to have crown and rod of iron. It really is a reality check. It shows you truth, shows you reality. It's not about feeling good. It's not about pretending that you're a king and queen. It's about having the actual power of a king and queen. It's not just symbolic. It's not just metaphorical. It's not just fantastical. It's not just a fantasy game. It's not just POV, first action player, fantasy game playing, NPC player game, whatever they call it. You're not just standing in a ceremony before God with a crown, which interesting how nobody bitches and complains about the crown. But when they're made to get a rod of iron, which is an actual accoutrement, a biblical accoutrement, the central biblical accoutrement with crown, of course, but more central actually biblically, more references to rod of iron in the hands of those who will reign with Christ. Not only biblical rod of iron, but of course, actual power, and of course, the responsibility behind that power to train and to become part of peace, belief, people, militia culture and stop running away and being little wimps and actually start being part of this culture, part of the warrior culture. Not just commenting on the warrior culture, being little beta males, beta females, want to talk about, this or that, but they're not even training, they're not even practicing, they're not even rolling with the alpha males and females that are rising up. The young people are becoming alpha males and females. What will you do when the parents who want to bitch and complain about it, who are not alpha males and females, but are more beta males and females, and just commenting on the warrior culture? What will you do when your kids become alpha males and alpha females, and they will become greater than you? And essentially, they will see them as a threat. I mean, this is what's so ridiculous. You have to join into the peaceful people's culture because then you'll actually become an alpha male. And you'll start learning, and female. And you'll start learning to love alpha males and females and not be jealous of them, scared of them, intimidated by them, etc. You'll become one. So you will start loving them. And Father was a super alpha male. You don't understand this. This is so funny because these are the same individuals that I bet were bitching about Father, even though they kind of clothe it in, oh, I'm bitching about the organization, etc. Give me a break. It's just, it's the same kind of complaining in the wilderness of Moses. We're not talking about fantasy games. We're not talking about a spiritual heaven. We're not talking about a spiritual heaven that you're following the same type of Christianity. No, we're talking about an actual kingdom, an actual culture, an actual civilization, which you have a duty in as a king queen. It's not only about wearing your royal garb or pretending you're royalty, pretending you have kingly power, when you don't. It's about actual kingly power. So what's so amazing and liberating about this blessing, even though some people want to bitch and complain about saying that it's actually constricting and this or that stratifying. Look, I know your heart, and I know your heart of love, and many people who've expressed that to me. I know you're not doing disrespect, and they say they're not doing it out of disrespect, etc. So I love you guys, and I understand your heart. But you have to understand this is about realism. It's about being real. And it is a sign that some of these people who are in countries where they cannot own firearms, it's a sign of not them. It doesn't stratify them. It doesn't say that they're bad or worse than you because you can own an AR-15 in this state of affairs in the world. It doesn't say that. It doesn't say that they're somehow a lower level than you, even though that's how many people who are into ranks and many people who are into the status symbols of Pharisaic culture will want to say that is. But it's like this. It's like if you're training under me and I rank you a white belt, blue belt, purple belt, blue. It's not because I'm saying that you're inherently less valuable than somebody who's a blue belt or a purple belt under me. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I'm saying you are not at that level yet. You're not at the level yet of lethality and danger. You're not at a level which is equivalent to somebody who's a blue belt or a purple belt or a brown belt. It's not a statement of condemnation upon you. Everybody wants to take things always so personally. It's a statement of what situation you're in. So if you're in a country which cannot own firearms, then it shows you that situation that you're in, that environment that surrounds you, is prohibiting you to only come to, for example, the top of the growth stage. It's prohibiting you from only coming to the formation stage of perfection. You see what I'm saying? These are not condemnations on people under Father's authority. even though you all want to, not all, but many of you want to interpret it in that fashion, for whatever reason you want to do, whether it's self-victimization, whether it's other subconscious things that you're dealing with, etc., whether it's you just want to bitch and complain about something to stay relevant or to busy yourself. Come on, don't be idiots. Join the People Militia culture. Be part of the alpha male female culture. Stop being beta male, beta females. Embrace this type of warrior culture. Get beat up. Get beat up. You will find yourself open your horizons. Well, your children are going to grow up to be much stronger alpha males and females than you. And they will not be like these little, children that want to nitpick and control and bitch about every little thing. Because as an alpha male and as an alpha male, you learn that you don't act emotionally, you don't speak emotionally, and you view things first. You view things first. You allow things to wait. You learn that it takes lots of time to become stronger as an alpha male, alpha female. So you people have to join this culture. You have to join this culture. Because in this culture, you will learn patience. You will learn tolerance. You will learn to go beyond your own conceptions, etc. This is not just playing around, right? Kingship is not about just playing around. That's slave mentality. Don't be caught in a slave mentality where you just want the accoutrements of a king to look like a king. That's like new money, right? This is like new money. New money does that, right? People who get into riches or into new money, they end up spending the money. They want to just look rich. But people who have old money, so to speak, who've been passed down through generations, they want to actually look. They don't want to stand out. They don't want to look like super bling bling. You look at, for example, a lot of Chinese people. They have a lot of wealth, but they look like you would never know. You would never know these people have tons of wealth. Okay, now not the new Chinese millennials and stuff like that who have wealth through internet and stuff like that. They love showing off their wealth. But you have to understand this psychology that happens, and you can see that in the same way. Believers and people under Father's authority, people under Christ's authority, who have the understanding of the crown, they love that because it makes them feel like they're royalty. But again, it's not about just feeling like you're royalty, you're feeling good that you're included into royalty. It's about now also having the more biblical accoutrement of the rod of iron. Having compassion for those in different nations who cannot go beyond the actual growth stage in terms of owning as themselves, their family, owning the rod of iron. I mean, you have people making the stupidest comments. I'm sometimes thinking, do these people think? Are you people thinking? I mean, you make the stupidest comments, saying like the rod of iron is like an indulgence. You're buying salvation. I love you guys, but you sometimes you're so stupid. Sometimes you're freaking so stupid. How it is an indulgence when that's $700 for the AR-15 or the gift certificate from any gun store goes to your damn family, you stupid idiot. I mean, gosh, these people are so, sometimes you people, you guys are so unbelievably stupid. I mean, it's so ridiculously. I mean, I say this with love because I love you guys, but you guys, you gotta train. You gotta train. You know that's how you'll know the king better. You'll trust me more by being with me more. By commenting on the outsides all the time, and by you're just like you're a weight on me as I walk through the wilderness course. Literally, like Moses had to walk, the Israelites coming, and a portion of them are bitching and complaining. I understand that's normal in any population, but I'm just telling you, have some compassion for the king. You make my weight heavier, and I know you're doing it from a right place, and I know you in your mind you think you're doing. And I understand out of love, and I understand. And I still love you for it. Don't worry, I still love you. But I know that you're weak, and I know that you're not part of the culture. And it's many times these people who are not participating in the training that are doing this. They're not participating in firearms training. They're not participating in the King's training with mixed martial arts, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and knife fighting, etc. You're not participating in the duties of a king. Did you know that every king trained their sons and daughters in fighting, combat? You are not participating in that. So you don't understand the whole culture of honor, the honor code that binds the brotherhood of those who are training in these arts. It's not about just being an individual out there, about, talking about your sovereignty as an individual all the time. It's not about that. When you enter a brotherhood, you have to then stand up also as a team for that brotherhood. You become like a little gang. You become like a peacekeeping militia is like a local, powerful, good gang that can fight against evil, right? And any organized combat force is more powerful than an unorganized combat force. Can take on more, can force multiply and move properly, tactically, and be stronger than an unorganized group of same numbers. Okay. So I understand where you guys come from, and honestly, look, it's coming from many different places. I understand, and many of you have convinced yourself that you're doing it, for the sake of the king or whatever. You're not. You're just being a total. You're not thinking straight. You're not. Some of the things that you're trying to say, even though you say it in love, and you tell me that it's not in disrespect. I'm not taking it personally. Trust me. But they're so unbelievably unthought through. Okay, how is it that you having to step up and get the actual accoutrements of kingship and own them? How is that an indulgence? How are that buying salvation? When you are owning the dang thing, oh my goodness. The church gets no benefit from you doing that. Zero. I mean, you people got to think about some of the things that you're saying before you act emotionally and talk emotionally. It's a very, very sign of extreme immaturity. Extreme immaturity. Okay? And you have no compassion for other people in the world who have to deal with a real environmental, political, national situation where they cannot get this, where they cannot get these arms. They're real accoutrements of the rod of iron. They're real accoutrements of a king or queen in a real kingdom. We're not talking about a fantastical kingdom. We're not talking about where you feel happy that you wear a crown and you can be a royalty. That is all ego. We're not talking about, we're talking about in reality, where you also have the means to defend the nation, the means to defend your people, the means to defend your civilization. And that's why loving one another, working with one another, training with one another is so important. So for all you who keep running away from training, you know who you are. You have to understand it's not about you and how you feel, and it's not about you and how you are comfortable with it. It's not about you. It's about doing your duty as royalty, right? If you are, as father's heir and successor, I am in the true father position on earth. So as my spirit, as my children, so to speak, as I am in the true father position on earth, by him, appointed and directed by him and appointed by him, not me, then when your father wants you to train with him and you keep running away, you would bitch and complain about those kind of true children who did that, right? But yet when you do it, you have no problem with it. You have some justified reason and you have it's just so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. I am sure you would have bitched and complained every day about those kind of children who don't spend time with father and don't do this with father. And then you have his actual heir representative who is here, chosen by him, who he dwells within. And you are acting the same way as a true children that you criticize. I mean, it's so ridiculous. Look, I love you guys, okay? But sometimes you are so stupid and hypocritical. You talk about loving your father, but then you acting like you hate your father, like children who are disobedient to your father. When he's trying to make you an actual king and make you actually go through the kingly duties and kingly training of becoming, look, every king trained every son and daughter to use the sword or in medieval times, whatever. It's part of the training. It's part of the curriculum. You're so blessed that you don't have to go through all that physical training if you're hurt in some ways, or if you can go through rod of iron training. But this is not, God's kingdom is not about making you feel good. It's about being a real kingdom that can fight against evil. So we must understand this. That's why we must embrace and love these alpha males and females in the gun community, hunting community, fishing community. Look at all these people who want to criticize all day long. They're not part of the gun community, or maybe just new members. They haven't really embraced that gun culture, the rod of iron culture. They're not part of the blade community. They're not part of the combat martial art community. Maybe they just started. some of them, but most of them not. They're not part of the fishing community. You know, they're not part of the outdoors community. I mean, it's like it's so easy to see. From a father's perspective, so easy to see. It's like little children who basically try to justify that they don't want to participate in the activities of the father. And I'm not saying it's easy. I understand your heart. Sometimes it was hard for me to do so too. But it helps you grow. It helps you unlock your agendas. It's greater than you. Do you understand? It's greater than you. You guys got to understand this. It's greater than you. It's much bigger than how you feel and what you want to do. Having royalty and having royal kingship, and it's not about just having the status of royalty. It's about also going through the duties of royalty as well. Okay? So look, I love you guys, but you guys bitch and complain, and you are a weight on my shoulders. And so understand that as people who are in the position of children to myself as the appointed heir and successor of true father. Okay, I'm not saying that in any arrogance, and you know that, because you know I didn't choose that position. But I'm just telling you, it's like when I talk to my kids the same way, if they're bitching and complaining too, I got to tell them, look, kids, I love you, but you're acting very childish. Please don't do this. This is hurtful to daddy, okay? This puts weight on my child. How come? I ask my kids sometimes, how come that nobody has compassion for daddy? What I have to go through, what I have to deal with. How come nobody has compassion for me? You expect daddy to have compassion for you, to be understanding, to be empathetic, to be listening, to be able to help you through your troubles and to coach you well. You expect that, but you expect none in return to daddy. Do you see how that's unfair? So I love you guys. So show some love to me too. Okay? I'm trying to make you into true kings and queens. Not so you can just call it, not so you can just say it or pray to yourself and have some stature about it. To be really it, you bums. And I say that in love. You know that. Okay? If you train with me, you would know that I say that kind of stuff in love. And you wouldn't take everything so personally and so literally when I say it, because you're, again, outsiders looking in. You're not part of the brotherhood. It's like when you're playing football, or you're in the army or whatever. Your coach or your sergeant doesn't hate you, and that's why he's calling you names. He does it to encourage you, okay? And if you're part of that culture, that alpha male, alpha female culture, which is so funny because it's the people that are not in that culture, or trying to run away from that culture all the freaking time, that are the ones bitching about it. I mean, give me a break, guys. Come on. You're total beta. You're total betas. You're total betas, even though you try to pretend to be alpha males, female. Look, you're total betas, and you know it. You're scared of training. You're scared of being humbled and being beat up. I love you guys, but you got to get through this, okay? You got to get through this, okay? Daddy's trying to make you stronger and into real men and women and real kings and queens, not just some fake status-seeking status. When I'm in a ceremony with a beautiful gown and a crown, okay, great, I understand it, but that's not that's not the highest level you got to be at, okay? You got to be at a higher level. You got to really be able to defend your civilization, your nation, really be able to defend your neighbor, okay? Not with just trying. You can try all you want fighting somebody, but if you don't have the skill set, you're going to die. You're going to get beat up, okay? It's so wonderful to see some of you guys who thought you were tough and you thought you were alpha males or females, and you come in, you get beat up by very small people. And it's like so wonderful to see you guys, not because I have some sadistic thing to see you guys get beat up. It shows you reality. It shows you that you're not what you thought you were. And it's great. That's great, because then that's a process through which you can break through your fakeness. And at least realize you have a lot of fakeness. And what will you do when your children, because your children are breaking through those kind of stuff, they're going to become alpha females and males. They're going to see right through how weak you are. They're going to see right through how beta you are. You're going to be completely exposed. You're going to become, I'm saying this out of love and compassion for you. Come and join our code. That's why I love the Instagram. I'm getting these wonderful followers who are hunters and guys in the BJJ, knife fighting, and gun community. They're starting to follow me on Instagram and stuff like that. I love it. I love that. I love seeing their posts about their guns and like their knives and their Jeeps. I mean, it's fantastic. But it's funny how people who wanna bitch and complain about the rod of iron. It's funny how you don't have any friends who are in that community. It's funny how you don't have anybody who is hardcore into those communities and you're inspired by. And I understand because maybe you're a newbie into those communities. And that's I totally understand it. And I know there's a transitional time, etc. I'm being patient in the daddy's position. I'm being patient. But don't think that it doesn't dismay me. Don't think it doesn't make me sad. Don't think it doesn't make me, when you talk a big talk, but you don't do what you do. What the daddy's position is asking you to do. If you're a father or a mother, you will know that when your children, it's the same with your children. Reflect on it with your children. If you do that, you want to do this with your children, but then they keep on saying, "Oh no, I want to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to." Think about how much you would rag on them. I am very, very kind to you in comparison to how much ragging you would do on your kids, right? And Father has put me in that position. I am not chosen that myself. Okay, to remind you that this is not about some ego trip. I don't feel any joy in seeing you get humble and stuff like that, because for me it's very easy. I could do that if I wanted to do that upon you. I could do it very easily. It's not hard for me to do. Okay, but I'm telling you this in love because I want you to become real kings and queens and have compassion for others who are in nations who cannot become real kings and queens at this time, and help them. Help us when we go to Europe and are fighting for gun rights there and rod of iron rights there. Help us when we go to Asia and we're fighting for gun rights there. Instead of bitching and complaining about everybody, everybody's going to stratify. Hey, why don't you join us in helping fight for gun rights in Korea and Japan and Africa and Philippines and whatever nation you have compassion for. God calls you to. Why don't you go beyond yourself? This is not about you. Do you understand? It's not about you. And it really is becoming very clear about how people talk and behave. It's you guys who don't train, and I'm not only talking about Jamal or this people. I'm talking about even the Japanese sisters who come to our services all the time. You guys are not training with us at all. Some of them are, but. You guys are not trained, so you don't understand this culture at all. It's so foreign to you. You're still in your little world of baking and whatever hobbies you have, but you have not adopted the hobbies of what kings and queens have to do, because kings and queens actually have to have control over life and death and lethality, at the same time that they have the stature and they have to be elegant in their royalty, so all that kind of stuff. But still, you have to have control over that combat and lethality. Because that is the line of defense that is required when predators try to attack. And there's always going to be predators there. Okay? So I'm not talking about only a specific group of guys or stuff like that. No, all you sisters too. You sisters too. You also should be joining in training with the king. Okay? That's how you become kings and queens. That's how you learn royalty culture. That's how you learn how to think and act and prepare as a royal. Okay? So look, I love you guys, but you got to reflect before you say stuff, okay? Don't be childish children. Reflect before you say stuff. Have compassion for your daddy. Okay? And by the way, I'm not your daddy by choice. I'm your daddy appointed by the true Father of heaven and earth. Okay, so I don't know why I have to repeat this stuff. It's like dealing with children. I don't know why I have to repeat this stuff to you over and over and over again. It's very annoying. It makes my day more difficult. It gives daddy more stress and more things I have to do on top of the million things I got to do, including go very soon to pick up my dog who almost got killed yesterday. Okay? So you really say you love true Father, you say you love your Father, you really say you love his kingship, etc. Well, have compassion for me sometimes, okay? Before you speak out and say stupid things, think. Really think about it. Is it really indulgences that you should get an AR-15? Is that really indulgent churches The church benefits zero from it. I mean, oh my gosh. You people sometimes are so childish. Goodness, like little babies. It's that asset goes to you, you dumb bum. I mean, it's so unbelievably self-centered and stupid sometimes. I'm saying that to you children in love, okay? So act like more, become adults, become more alpha and alpha, male and female. You can't do that just by thinking it in your mind or dreaming it up in fantasy land. You've got to actually go through the hard course of becoming an alpha and female, male and female, getting your epigenetics unlocked, getting in the environment where you will be humbled. Come on, you have to do this. It's not about you. It's for the nation of kingdom of God. It's for your neighbor. It's for other people. It's compassionate. It's benevolent. Okay? And of course, I commend all the brothers and sisters who are joining us and who are in 50s, 60s, 70s. You have nerds here at 50s, 60s, 70s. There's guys that are 50s, 60s, in their 70s. Michel Bouvet is 70 years old. And he was joining us in People Be Military Training. He's 70 years old. My gosh. Look, if you have some real physical ailments, okay, then be a part of our gun training trainings then. You know what I'm saying? Just, you can be training a part of it. Maybe you can't do all the tough, stuff. Or if you do empty hands combat, which is very important. There's a wonderful website called Active Self-Protection. They show actual video of people getting assaulted and shot and stabbed. And they show that physical, even empty hands combat, even though it's not everything, you do need to have control of empty hands combat. And Father said that is a key curriculum to all youth. And since now some of you guys are in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, you're saying, "Oh, I'm not a youth, that's why I can't train." But you should have, in the perfected culture, you should have already been trained at youth. You should already be a black belt in BJJ. But you're not. You're a total white belt. You see what I'm saying? So you're not there. Don't try to escape it because it wasn't there for you set up while you were growing up. I mean, come on. It was a fallen world. It's not the kingdom yet. Okay? To be part of this culture. That's how God, and use those conditions to help other countries open up so our other brothers and sisters can be freed there and really come into the perfection level culture. And that doesn't mean that we're going to be perfect. You know that. You all thought that if you receive the blessing, your children are going to come up perfect, and that will prove out to be true. False, right? You thought that if you received the blessing, your blessed children would never fall, right? But a lot of them fell, right? So you have to get out of this idealistic perfection thing where you think that in perfection you're going to have no effort, and in perfection it's going to be like welfare. I mean, it's like welfare mentality. It's ridiculous. In perfection level, you have even more responsibility, more duty. It's like when you grow up to the highest level, you have to more responsibility, more work you have to do, more effort you have to put in. It's like it doesn't get lighter; it gets heavier. Okay. So, look, you guys got to get beyond all your little squabbles and beefs with this or that person. Just get over it. Okay, it's not about you. You got to come in and be part of the actual royalty culture, right? It's not about, you wouldn't just want to go into some royal families, right? And let's say they're not satanic, but let's say, the King of England or whatever. Yeah, and you enter into their family and you say, oh, yes, I'm royalty now. But then they have duties. But you have to do those duties to be part of that royalty. You see what I'm saying? Okay? So I love you guys, and I'm patient with you guys. And in the daddy position, I'm patient with my children. But look, you have to help daddy out a little bit, okay? You have to be part of daddy's activities and training, okay? You demand that on your own children, yet you won't do that for yourself. So you're a hypocrite then. You won't do that for yourself with the actual true father's representative on earth, who is in a greater vertical position than you. Obviously, you're not the appointed heir and successor. Come on, guys. You know this, but you just keep on doing this in your brain. Don't do these stupid, fantastical runarounds in your intellectual minds. And I know many of you are smart, but that's why you're stupid sometimes, because you go around in circles justifying yourself intellectually, which is ridiculous. That's like, I saw true children do that who were smart. They had higher intelligence, whatever. And they would do that with father. And then you would be the ones bitching about them doing that to father. And then now you're doing that to father. Come on, don't be so ridiculously hypocritical. Okay, I got to get going. I got to pick up the dogs in the emergency room, but I love you guys out there who are joining us on YouTube land. Remember to hold fast to your crown and also to your rod of iron. Have compassion for those who can have the rod of iron in different countries. Help us. Help us help those countries get free so that they can become a king and queen and have the actual biblical, more biblical accoutrement than the crowns, actually, for co-heirs with Christ, which is the rod of iron. All right? I love you guys. Don't be stupid. I'll see you real soon. We'll take a short break. Tim Elder's going to take over. I got to get running.